Welcome to today's webinar. I'm Tim Stewart from Visual Decisions, and I've spent decades helping companies transform their operations using cutting-edge digital tools. Over the next 20 minutes or so, we'll be holding a Q&A session on the Smart Manufacturing Roadmap using the industry standard CESMII process and how you can implement them in your organizations to create a more agile, efficient, and resilient operation. Let's get started. Let's start with a couple of slides, and let's start with one big question. Why do a roadmap? As Stephen Covey once wrote, you should begin with the end in mind. This helps to give direction to your initiatives, create alignment with the organization, and minimizes the risk of failure. It also helps you understand the potential value from pursuing a smart manufacturing initiative and what projects should be prioritized first based on the potential value. If you've decided that doing a roadmap is probably a good idea, then the CESMII process is a great way to go about it. It provides a solution agnostic approach so that you won't be led down a fixed path towards a particular vendor solution. It is an industry standard approach that allows you to benchmark your current state against a number of other companies. It's also a low cost, high value approach that can be done quickly with a relatively low resource requirement. As for why do the roadmap with Visual Decisions, well, we've done it more than anyone else outside of CESMII, and frankly, we're really good at it. As mentioned earlier, one of the key reasons to start with a roadmap is to minimize the risk of failure. There are many studies that show that the majority of smart manufacturing pilots do not lead to the expected benefits. As an example, this study from Deloitte shows that only around a third of all pilots lead to a company being able to operationalize their efforts. And as we go on, we'll talk a little bit about how to minimize those risks as we answer the questions. Before I get to the questions, here's a quick overview of the process. We're focused on the three chevrons in blue: assess, focus, and roadmap. During the assess phase, we work with the customer to conduct the current state survey and assessment. We recommend sampling a broad set of people across all business functions to get many different viewpoints of the current state of operations. Then we put together a presentation with an analysis of the data sliced by various dimensions of the respondents. In the focus phase, we conduct deep dive interviews with people across the organization to delve deeper into the current state, identifying both challenges and opportunities for the company. Once this is complete, we once again present those findings to the business, along with a set of recommendations of potential initiatives that address the challenges and the opportunities uncovered. Also in this phase, we put together a high-level value proposition that looks at the possible impact of those initiatives. And finally, we conclude with a future state survey that shows where people in the company would like to be in 3 years' time. And finally, we come to building the roadmap itself. In this phase, we help the customer identify the high-level goals across 6 different dimensions for the business. The team then selects the initiatives that will be pursued to achieve those objectives. Then they prioritize those initiatives into now, next, and future. Finally, they add some definition to the initial set of activities to finish off the roadmap development. Now let's dive into our questions. I received a number of questions from direct messages and so forth, and I've heard them over time from people that I've presented to. And so I'm going to start with a list of questions. If you have additional questions, please enter them into the chat, and I'll answer those as well. The first and most common question that I get is, what is this trying to sell? Most people that are looking at this are used to individual vendors, whether it's a software vendor or a hardware vendor or somebody having a process that's somewhat like this, and they're coming in and they're really trying to sell that software. They're building up a value proposition just so that they can come in and sell web services or a predictive maintenance program or something like that. This is not like that. This is a completely agnostic approach that, again, is sourced from CESMII, which is the national organization that is responsible for smart manufacturing and promoting smart manufacturing within the U.S. And this is really looking at your organization to say, where are you today? What are the strengths and weaknesses of the organization? And what are the process changes, people upskilling, technology that would help you improve as an organization and improve the performance? And so, really, all this is trying to do is to help you understand what are the possibilities for your organization to improve and what would help to drive that. It's not trying to sell any particular agenda. What is the cost associated with the CESMII Smart Manufacturing Assessment? It's very low cost as far as these things go. If you're going to a Deloitte, it's going to be much, much more than what this actually costs. To do it yourself is possible, in which case it's actually free. But I do recommend going through it with a guide to help you through the process. First of all, having that set of outside eyes is beneficial, but then also just somebody that's experienced with the process itself helps go through it, and it helps uncover a lot of things that you otherwise wouldn't. The cost for that is typically around 10,000 for a small or mid-sized organization. And if you're a larger organization, multiple plants, et cetera, the cost may be a little bit more than that, but it's still extremely reasonable compared to the big consulting firms and what they would charge. How long does it typically take? There's two answers here. One is from an actual time invested. It's typically around a 40 to 60 hour investment of time for whoever is leading the project. It'll be a little bit more once you consider the different people in the organization taking the surveys and things like that. From an elapsed time, I've had people go through it in as little as a few weeks, and I've had other customers that it took months to complete it just because they took time between each step and so forth. But typical is a few weeks to a couple months. How is the confidentiality and security of my company's sensitive information handled throughout the assessment process? Great question. We will create a non-disclosure agreement between whoever's facilitating the process and your company. And all the information that we collect will be kept strictly confidential. It's not kept online or anything like that, other than the survey information, which is kept in a protected system within CESMII itself. But the survey information is pretty general and doesn't get into specifics of financials or anything like that. The financial information is kept strictly confidential between the facilitator and the company. Who the heck is CESMII? CESMII is, again, the official Smart Manufacturing Institute for the United States of America. It is run out of NIST as part of the Manufacturing USA overall set of initiatives. And they are the one that's responsible for smart manufacturing in the US. And again, I'm going to apologize for my cold here. They've been around for 6 or 7 years now, somewhere in there. And they have done great work putting together a set of standards around smart manufacturing and a common language that can be used by organizations to really embrace and move forward with smart manufacturing, to use that to improve their organizations. Who should take the assessment? And I'm going to take this at two separate levels. One is within a company itself, and then I'll also address what type of companies would benefit. So the first question of who within the company should take the assessment is, we want the assessment to be as broad as possible within the organization. So we want it, in terms of the levels of the organization, we want everybody at all levels to take it, from the operators and the associates on the shop floor, all the way through the top levels of management. And the reason that we want that is that we want those different perspectives of where the company stands today and where you want the company to be. In addition, you want to go broad within the organization as well and get the feedback from the people within operations, within quality, within materials, engineering, sales and marketing, because we want to see what is the perception of the current level of performance, not only from the people involved in the process itself, but the suppliers to that process and the customers of that process, and really to get that broad-based assessment. Now, in terms of the types of companies that should do this, it's really just about anybody. Small and mid-sized manufacturers are the primary target, whether you're discrete, continuous, process, etc. All of those different types of manufacturers would benefit from this. From the point of view of the size of the organization, again, it's really targeted at small and mid-sized organizations, but it's been done with companies that are extremely large as well. You just have to budget more time and really go through the process in a little bit more detail with them. But small and mid-sized manufacturers that really aren't looking for a McKinsey to come in and really do a top to bottom view of the organization. This is a really good way to get a good picture of what's happening within the organization without spending millions of dollars on a McKinsey style of assessment. How much will this tie up my internal resources? Not a ton. Again, what we talked about earlier, for the person running this, it's only targeted at about 40 hours for a small or mid-sized organization. But for the people that are participating in it, for the people taking the survey itself takes 15, 20 minutes. It's only 25 questions long. For the rest of the people that are participating, or for those people as well, they may go through an interview process. It'll probably be a smaller crowd that goes through the interviews. And then there's probably a core team that's actually reviewing the information and the materials as we go through the process, and they'll probably spend 20 hours or so forth on it. So over the course of weeks or a couple months, it's not much time or commitments for those internal resources. The champion internally is probably going to be the top, and it's not going to exceed 40 hours. I got this question from a company: should I do this first or lean manufacturing? And I don't see that actually as the decision. I think that this is an overall assessment to see what is going to help you, what's not going to help you, and this is a one-time project that is fairly quick to go through. Lean is a journey. Lean is something that you embark on and you never really complete, because the whole idea is to continually improve. And so if you had to choose one first, I would say to do this, because this will also help you determine how much of a help that lean is going to be within your process. And because this looks not only at technology, but also process change and people change, this will help you identify where you really will be able to have lean or other continuous improvement methodologies help your organization to improve as well. Similar type of question: should I focus on process improvement or technology first? Um, First of all, I think that's a false choice. I think that they should happen together. Um, the analogy that I use all the time is a Fitbit. You know, if you wear a Fitbit but you don't exercise, it's not going to help you. Same thing with a lot of the technologies that you put on the shop floor. If you put the technology out there on its own and don't really change the behaviors of your people, it's not going to make a big difference for you. But if you integrate that with process improvement, now you have that data that's supercharging that process improvement and can really drive bigger change within your business. So I don't think that's a real choice that you have to make between those two. And I think that embracing those together actually makes a bigger difference. What areas does the assessment cover? So there are six primary dimensions within the assessment, and those are management and strategy at the top level. It's not really the top level; it's just first within the hierarchy. Then you've got operational excellence and continuous improvement and things like that. Then you've got data-driven decision making. You've got your systems infrastructure. You've got people, and you're empowering your people, and then you've got supply chain. And so all six of those different dimensions are covered within the assessment and also in the deep dive interview process and so forth to really look at the opportunities within the organization. What do I get from the assessment? Really good question. There are several different outputs from the process. I covered those a little bit as I went through what the process looks like. But some of the primary outputs are the current state assessments and looking at not only your data within your own company, but the ability to benchmark that against other organizations. You get the results from the deep dive interview process, where you have somebody that's an industry expert. If you're doing this in a facilitated fashion, to come in, talk to your people, and understand where you are today and what are the opportunities for improvement. You get the future state survey, which is where you want to be 3 years from now and how that compares to the current state. You get a business case assessment where we put together a financial summary of how much potential benefit there is from doing some of these different initiatives that we've been discussed or that you uncovered during the process. Then you actually get the roadmap itself, where you take all of those different inputs and you put that into a 3-year plan for how you can phase in the different initiatives to get from point A to point B. So those are the different outputs. Can the assessment help justify investment in smart manufacturing? Absolutely. That is one of the primary outputs from the system is to have that financial analysis and look at what is the potential value proposition for making that investment. Is partner support available to implement the recommendations? And the answer is yes. So when you get that output from the process, we certainly have partners available, whether it's through Visual Decisions or somebody else, to help actually implement those recommendations. And we stay absolutely vendor agnostic during the process itself. After the process, if you choose to, ask, who are some potential vendors that could help with, these different solutions and so forth. Happy to make those things, but afterwards, because we want to stay 100% agnostic during the process itself. Can we do this ourselves, or is a facilitator required? Again, not required. It is, in my opinion, I'm biased, but my opinion is that a facilitator helps a lot. Most particularly during that deep dive interview process, where having that experienced facilitator that's seen a lot of different companies asking those interview questions and so forth can really dig down into insights that you wouldn't get doing those things internally. Is the assessment roadmap tool free to use? Yes. Again, it's from CESMII, public organization. The assessment itself is free to use internally if you choose to go that route. What is the best way to get started? Um, for me, the best way to get started, or from my opinion, is to actually do the current state survey. So if you reach out to me, I'm happy to set your company up in the CESMII system and give you some advice in terms of how to organize who should be taking the survey and so forth, and then put together a presentation for you on what are the results of that survey. And from that, you can decide whether or not you would choose to continue with that engagement, do it yourself, or go a different direction. But that survey, one or the other, is something that I can get you started with for absolutely free. And it gives you some good information on where you stand today. So that's all the questions that I had. I don't see any additional questions in the LinkedIn chat at this point. And so thank you for your time. At Visual Decisions, we strongly believe in beginning with the end in mind and pursuing your smart manufacturing future with intention. Reach out to us to get started with that current state survey for free. And even if you don't choose to go down this path, let's connect. If you'd like to learn more about how to drive value in your organization, contact me for more details through any of the different methods on the screen. The QR code will take you to the Visual Decisions website for more information. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in future sessions.